Has Nils Lundkvist been the Dallas Stars' best defenseman? We discuss next on Locked On Stars.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. The Dallas Stars are in Beantown tonight, looking to bounce back against a Bruins squad that has struggled to stay out of the box and struggled at 5-on-5 to begin this season. We'll touch on tonight's matchup a bit later on, but first, today's burning question of Locked On Stars: has Nils Lundkvist been the Dallas Stars' best defenseman this season? Let me know in the comments below. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, hit the notification bell. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. I'll be honest, I'm fired up for today's podcast. Frankly, because we're even posing this question. If you told me 2 months ago at this point in the season, we'd be talking about Nils as one of the best defensemen on the Dallas Stars, I wouldn't have believed you. I thought it was time to give up on Nils making that next step, establishing himself as an everyday NHL defenseman. But hold on, in the first 7 games, it looks like he's starting to figure it out. And I have to give credit to a buddy of mine who called me the other day. You know who you are. And we started talking Stars hockey, and he mentioned he thought Nils has been the Stars' best defender to begin this season. And I really couldn't disagree with him. He's been great. So I figured, let's highlight Nils and let's look at some of the numbers, because I think it's fair to say, or you could at least make the argument he has. I think Esa Lindell may be just a smidge above him because of what he provides on the penalty kill. But at 5-on-5, I think Nils Lundkvist has a great argument of being the Stars' best defenseman so far this season. And look, we talk about with young defensemen all the time that the 200 game mark for defensemen is usually where defensemen start to establish themselves in the National Hockey League. And Nils has now crossed the 150 game threshold, and it looks like he's starting to figure it out. He's making plays that we would not have seen from him in years past. More importantly, he's not making plays that we have seen him made in years past. And it just feels like he's made that step to being an everyday caliber NHL defenseman in the NHL. And it's delightful. It's delightful to watch. I've mentioned his physicality so many times already in the first handful of games. His body positioning has been really, really good. The Stars have talked about how fit he is, and the last 2 seasons he's come into camp and he's been the Stars' fittest player in terms of conditioning. But now he's using his size to his advantage. Yes, he's not a big guy in the grand scheme of things. And a large part of the matchups he deals with, he's outsized. But he has used his body positioning and his physicality to his advantage so far this season. The amount of times I've seen him just bury a player right in front of the crease is phenomenal so far. And something new. It really jumps out to you because we just really haven't seen that a lot out of him in the past few seasons. And look, I'll be the first one to admit, I thought we were done with this whole Nils Lundkvist experiment. Pete DeBoer did not trust him. The leash wasn't that long to begin with, and he was healthy scratched, it seemed, every night pretty much. And it was like, okay, well, maybe the Stars wasted a first-round pick on Nils. But look, we're starting to see the fruits of being patient with a young player. And there's a reason I'm sitting here talking to you about the Stars, and general manager Jim Nill and Pete DeBoer get paid the big bucks. But he's looked really good. And just to talk about some of the advanced numbers for you, at 5-on-5, he's been really, really good. He's played over 98 minutes this season. Look, Miro's played 130, which is by far the most. And maybe we'll see Nils garner some more minutes as the season progresses. But if you look at his expected goals against, it's really good. 3.87, which is fourth lowest on the Dallas Stars. Lyubushkin, Smith, and Dumba are behind him. I think Lyubushkin has been a great surprise. He's been very, very underrated to begin this season. Expected goals for, Nils is right up there at 4.09, which is fourth most among his peers. He's been really, really good, especially out of his own zone. His ability to read plays, react, and make decisions quickly is the process is starting to move a bit quicker for him. And you're not seeing those mistakes, and you're not seeing him put himself and his teammates into trouble with some of his puck play. His puck management has been so good. He's more patient with the puck. The game is starting to slow down for him, and you can see it when you watch him play. Would love to see him jump up in the rush a bit more, but that's more of a complaint for the Stars D-corps as a whole. They have not produced a ton of offense. I think Lindell has a point, and Harley has a couple of helpers and a goal now, right? That there's 4 points, I think, total from Stars defensemen in the first 7 games. They need, as a group, to really improve in that department, because it's going to help the Stars offense if they can jump up in the rush a bit more and have a more 5-man attack. But look, I think Nils has been great. And yes, he doesn't play in all situations. He's only played 46 seconds on the PK. But you look at his 5-on-5 play and his numbers at all strengths, they are really, really solid. And he's up there with Lindell and Harley and Heiskanen. And I've sort of harped on Harley and Heiskanen early this season. I don't think they've looked very good. They need to be way, way better from what they've displayed in the first handful of games. And maybe some of this is we just weren't expecting much out of Nils. But damn, he's made quite the impression. He's playing over 14 minutes a night, which is is a career high currently, at least with the Stars. And he's played in all 7 games. They seem to trust him, and he's playing a bit more in crunch time as well. Even last season, late in games, I mean, Nils may have gotten 2 shifts in the third period. In the last 10 minutes, he wasn't getting put out there. And who knows, maybe he hasn't made the jump, or he's playing at the level to be ready for the postseason. But you get more of this for 60 more games, 70 more games. I am going to feel really, really good about where the Stars are. So I think this is a really, really great player right now that we're starting to see the maturation process right before our eyes. And it's just taken a while. And sometimes maybe it just takes a long time for these young prospects or young players to just figure it out. And I think Nils is starting to find his game. And there's still a lot more he can do and a lot more he can improve on. But I think the fact that he has come out, you look at his Corsi percentage, it's the best. It's the best on the team at 57.48%. So he's generating looks when he's on the ice. He's generating chances. We saw it against Buffalo a few times. He carries his speed, And his mobility is a huge advantage for him. I hope we get to see it more and he displays it a bit more, because he does have that extra gear he can get into sometimes, like we see with Miro, where he can get to a spot and he can do some damage. We've seen it a handful of times, not enough, not consistent enough, but there's been spurts of it. And I think he's just been tremendous. And I really do. I think I would probably give Esa a bit of a smidge ahead of him just for his overall play. And you can't dismiss what Esa has done on the PK. You can't dismiss it. But I think Esa Lindell and Nils Lundkvist, two of your best defensemen so far in the first 7 games this season. And yeah, we're 2 weeks into this thing. So maybe I'm just a bit overzealous here, but we need to give credit where credit is due with Nils Lundkvist. Let me know in the comments below if you think Nils has been the Stars' best defenseman, because from what I've read throughout the season so far, there's a lot of disappointing thoughts on Harley and Heiskanen to begin this season. And I think rightfully so in a lot of ways. But I feel like Nils has kind of made that jump. And it's good to see, because he can be a valuable player for Dallas. And maybe he won't be impactful in the postseason again this season, but he's still really young. He really is. He's still really young at 24, and he's still really green in terms of what he's done at the NHL level. So we're going to give a round of applause to Nils Lundkvist for his first 7 games. And hopefully he continues to improve and we continue to see him get better each and every game. And hopefully the Stars back end as a whole does, because the players that you would expect to just be on top of it, we haven't really seen that. It's been guys like Lyubushkin, even Dumba. I know he's only played, 3 games now, but even Dumba has had some nice moments. He's had some tough ones in terms of his penalties, but he's been good. And Lindell, model of consistency, right? We can't say enough about Lindell. You don't even have to notice him out there. And that means Esa Lindell is doing his job. And he certainly has. So big props to Nils Lundkvist. And you look at some of his numbers, and these 5-on-5 numbers are via Natural Stat Trick. By the way, great little website you can take a look at. And look, he's done his part. He has certainly done his part. His scoring chance percentage, it's highest amongst defensemen on the Stars. And yeah, he hasn't played as many minutes, but hopefully that comes with time. And again, and maybe this is a point I need to hammer home. Nils doesn't need to be, he doesn't need to be top 4. He doesn't need to be this top 4, just incredible every night type of player. He needs to be a solid 6 defenseman. That's what you're asking out of Nils Lundkvist. That's what you're asking him to be. That's all you need him to be. You don't need him to be Miro Harley. And I know some people will push back because you gave up a first-round pick for him, so you want to see that. And I get it. But look. That's tough. That's going to be tough for him to become a Harley or Heiskanen. He just needs to be a solid 6 defenseman. That's all you're asking him to be at this point. Can he bring value? Yes, he's brought value. With the added depth the Stars have made in the offseason, he has been valuable. It's all you're looking for. As Pete DeBoer always says, can he help us win games? Right? Can he help us win games? Yes. The answer is yes right now. And maybe that's the only question that really matters right now when it pertains to Nils Lundkvist. Can he help you win games? Yes, he's been great. He's been fantastic. So there we go. Went almost 15 minutes on Nils Lundkvist. I'm fired up because we're even having this conversation. It felt like it was never going to happen. And now that I say this, watch it go downhill. Hopefully that's not true. Knock on wood. Number 5, Mr. Nils deserves some credit. Okay, let's switch over to some Boston Bruins talk. 5-on-5. It'll be very important tonight. And really 2 teams that have sort of struggled to begin this season. I have some graphs for you. I have some math for you Locked On Stars listeners out there to take a look at. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, FanDuel is here for you to get in on the action during football on Sundays. Get a big return on FanDuel. So when you get that hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. So go to FanDuel.com and you'll get started with $200 guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Yes, you heard me correctly. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app. Get in on the action this Sunday when you're watching football. FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, the Bruins are coming off a 4-0 defeat at the hands of the Nashville Predators, the first win of the season for the Predators. And penalties have reared their ugly head so far for Boston. They're looking to be much more disciplined over the next handful of games. And another intriguing storyline of this one is the Stars get to run into their old head coach, Jim Montgomery, as well. Always liked him. I was always a huge fan of Monty. It's always a part of me that wish Monty stayed. I was in love with him. I thought he was a great coach. And I know there was some off the ice issues that he was dealing with. And it's great that he was able to overcome those and he's back in the league because I think he's real talented coach. Began in Denver and did wonderful things there, bringing a couple national championships. Not a big surprise. Pioneers just raised their 8th, which is the most among college hockey now, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, the Bruins have taken 43 penalties this season. If you think that's a lot, well, it is. It's the most in the NHL so far this season. And their PK hasn't been great either, so it's not like they've bailed themselves out a whole lot. They're rocking along about 82%, which is above league average. Nikita Zadorov, their new acquisition, their shiny big toy, leads the league right now with 21 penalty minutes. So he's found himself in the box quite a bit. And that's an area that they're hoping to be a lot better at. But what's even more surprising, and probably is in large part because of their lack of discipline, is their 5-on-5 play. So I'm going to bring up a few graphs for you, and these are via moneypuck.com, and it shows the numbers of expected goals for and expected goals against for each team in the NHL. And it has your 4 quadrants, as you would expect. There's an x-axis, there's a y-axis. I remember math back in high school. And you got your 4 quadrants, the bad teams, the fun teams, the boring, and the good. So for you Locked On Stars listeners that watch on YouTube, you can see it. And of course, I'll break it down for the audio or only listeners. So right now, the Stars in expected goals against at 5-on-5 per 60 minutes, it's 2.83. Expected goals against per 60 minutes is 3.34. They're in the bad quadrant right now. Boston's even worse at 2.45 expected goals per. So they're not generating a ton of good looks. They're not generating a ton of offense at 5-on-5. And expected goals against per 60 of 3.49, which is a pretty good increase above where the Stars are at. And you can kind of get a good idea here on the graph as you watch as well. So Boston and Dallas have not been very good at 5-on-5 to begin the season. The Stars are nowhere near where they were last season. If you just look at the expected goals percentage in general amongst all 32 teams, Boston ranks 31st at 42.9%. Dallas is 23rd at 47.05, but they've both scored 12 goals at 5-on-5. They both scored 12. Boston actually has one more at 13. So, yeah, even strength 5-on-5 is gonna play a big factor tonight. Who can sort of clean it up? And we're still waiting for Stars to find their rhythm, and Boston for the most part is finding theirs as well. They have phenomenal high-end talent, right? With Pasta, who's got 4 goals already in the first 7 games. Their big surprise has been Cole Koepke, and Koepke's been great. I watched him at Duluth a few seasons ago as well. He had a brother too, and they were very, very good. Koepke's got 6 points already in the first 7 games, and he leads the league and plus minus at plus 10. He's been brilliant to start the year at and they've got some new faces, right? They brought in Elias Lindholm. They honestly have a bit of a Stars feel, where they have sort of that, they have their Marchand and Pasternak, which are kind of like Ben and Sagan. And then you got your young guys like Beecher and Koepke are now into the fold, which is kind of like your Johnstons and your Robos. So they do have a bit of a Stars feel, and they went out and they made some acquisitions in free agency. They brought in some new faces, and they're sort of getting it figured out. And of course, they're backed by Swayman. Swayman and Otter are going to be a ton of fun. Hopefully we get that matchup tonight. I would think you're going to see Swayman versus Otter, and Swayman's been off to a good start. 911 save percentage and 2.77 goals against average in his first 5 starts this season. So 5-on-5 will be very, very important for Dallas, to say the least. And hopefully they can start to find their groove a bit. Speaking of 5-on-5 and just expected goals in general amongst Stars forwards, because this has jumped out to me as well. I'll go ahead and switch slides here. And this graph shows the expected goals for all Stars players here throughout the season. It's a total of the first 7 games. And right now, Mason Marchand leads the way. 1.83 expected goals. And I think Marchman's been the best forward for Dallas. He's been great. And he just does a little bit of everything. Yeah, he's delinquent sometimes, but his presence has been huge for the Stars. And I don't think it's a coincidence too that players like Duchesne and Sagan have been off to good starts as well. I really don't think it's that much of a coincidence. I know Sagan's expected goals is down there at 0.25, but he's been hurt. But this line has consistently played together. It's the most consistent line for head coach Pete DeBoer. And we've gotten spurts from Stanky on that top line. You see Stankoven, Hintz, and Robertson. They're right in there amongst each other. Hopefully, as that line continues to play a bit more together, they'll start to produce a bit more, because they need Rope and Robo to carry a big chunk of the offensive load here this season. And they have, right? I mean, Rope has 7 points. Robo's, got 3 goals and 5 points total. Stanky has 7 helpers. Man, he can't find the back of the net. I don't know what he's done to piss off some of the hockey gods, but he's hit a few pipes. It's just a matter of time before he starts finding twine. But I thought it was a good chance to look at where the Stars kind of have been at 5-on-5. And there's been some struggles, right? Maverick Bourque is way down there at 0.29 expected goals. And he's a player that has gotten off to a slow start, right? He'll be a topic of conversation here over the next week. He's behind Oscar Beck. He's behind Sam Steele. He's behind even Jamie Benn, who's been a bit slow to begin this season. So there's some guys that are on this list that are not a surprise. And there's some players that need to be better, right? And you're looking for more out of. So just thought I would kind of compare the two teams at 5-on-5 a bit, because the Bruins haven't been great as well, which could come as a bit of surprise with the talent they have. So maybe it'll get decided at 5-on-5 or maybe special teams again. And hopefully the Stars are awake. Hopefully the power play will come to play a little bit, because it's been a rough go in the first few weeks of this season. Okay, let's finish things off with Shooting Star. By the way, some of you asked, are we still doing Shooting Star if they lose? We will still do it. We're still doing it. We're going to try to do all 82. I already missed one. So I gave the fans a win for the game I missed, because that was on me. It's my bad. I'll take the hit on that one. Who's going to be the Shooting Star for tonight in Boston? Let me know in the comments below, as well as via the YouTube community tab. I'm going to continue to push that. That's where I have the official voting poll, if you will. It's election season, so it makes sense. Okay. Anyways, we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time has this new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets faster and easier for your favorite live events. It filters out all the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You get seat views, get that panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you don't have to worry about railings, a bar, a beam, a piece of glass. We've all been to places before, new arenas, new buildings. You're like, I wouldn't have bought these if I knew this was going to be the view. That's why you need Game Time. You can see the view before you buy it. Plus, they have a lowest ticket price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKED on NHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And right now they are running a fantastic offer. If you go ahead and download the app today, you can use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. They're also offering some of these great plays like Justin Jefferson for more than 83.5 yards per game. Patrick Mahomes for less than 267.5 passing yards. You can even do Tyreek Hill for more than 97.5 receiving yards. Sprinkle some money on some of those plays on this week on Prize Picks. So download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Well, it only feels right I choose this Dallas Star for tonight's Shooting Star. A place he used to call home. A place where he won a Stanley Cup. He's the only Dallas Star with the Stanley Cup currently. Tyler Seguin. He scored in his return to the lineup against Buffalo. He keeps it going tonight in Beantown. Give me Tyler Seguin, baby. Hope he has a big night. It's the first time I picked Segs this season, so I'm going with Mr. 91. Let me know in the comments below who your Shooting Star is and vote via the YouTube community tab. We're going to keep a tally on this all season long, as you know. So I'm going with Tyler Seguin. I feel a big night for him. I feel like he's been held in check for the most part in Boston recently, and the Stars have been as well. A building that's proved pretty fruitful for them over the years, but the last few times they've gone, it's been a bit of a struggle bus. And Seguin may have missed the last time Dallas was in Boston last year because I think he was hurt. Could be wrong on that. But Dallas, there was a lot of guys hurt when when the Stars were in Boston last. So I'm going with Tyler Seguin. That's my Shooting Star pick. Let me know in the comments below who yours is. And that'll do it for a Stars Bruins preview. 6 o'clock puck drop. You can watch the game on Victory Plus. Man, I love Victory Plus. I love it. I love it. I love it. I really do. I freaking love it. It's been so good for me so far. I know some people are having some issues. Hopefully they're starting to figure those out a bit. Hopefully you're not as frustrated as you were possibly in the first week of the season. That'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. There was a lot of information I threw out there today. I don't even know if it sounded good, so I apologize if I was all over the place, but there was a lot I wanted to get to, and I'm fired up for the Stars game tonight. Enjoy your Thursday. Enjoy a Stars victory, hopefully. We'll be back to break it down tomorrow, and we'll kick you off into the weekend. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.